no worries. Just let me. I know I'll be there on the call, right? So I'll know where you stop. Okay.
I can change later.
No, I just put onwards. Don't worry.
Okay.
No worries. Just like. Okay. And I need to send this to.
And you have to give me co-host so I can share.
Yeah, I also need to send the link, right? 1 second. Right. Okay. And I have to give a co-host. Let's wait for 2 minutes.
You want me to wait?
Yeah, we have 15 participants. You can start now.
Oh. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you all so much for joining. Thank you for your kind association. So let's start with Mangalacharan, and then devotees will join in the meantime. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki सर्वशास्त्राब्धि पीयूषा सर्ववेदैक सत्फला सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाढ्य सर्वलोकैक धृक्प्रदा सर्वभागवत प्राणा श्रीमद्भागवत प्रभो कलिध्वांत आदित्य श्रीकृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाठाय प्रेमवर्षक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्वसेव्याय श्रीकृष्ण नमोस्तुते मदेकबन्धो मत्सङ्गिन् मद्गुरु मद्महाधन मन्नस्तारक मद्भाग्य मद आनंद नमस्तुते असाधु साधु तादायिन् अतिनीचोच हा च मुञ्च कदाचिन्मां प्रेम्णा हितकण्ठयोस्फुरा ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे गुरुवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालय कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघायते गिरिं यत्कृपहातं हम वन्दे श्री गुरु दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य ईश्वर। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, all the assembled Vaishnavas की जय. Okay, so thank you all once again for your very, very kind association. And we will move forward with our Bhakti Vaibhav session. We are still in the second chapter of the first canto. And Krishna willing, we'll try to finish the chapter. If not, we can continue to the next Thursday, coming Thursday. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. I'll share my screen, and today we are supposed to start chapter verse number 23 onwards. But before that, we'll do a quick recap of what we all have studied so far. So we have studied that how the sages asked questions, and now Suta Goswami has already answered the two questions. And in the answer to the two questions, he gave only one word, that is bhakti. That it's only bhakti which is to be gained by all the methods. So whatever we do, we should only focus on bhakti. All our occupational duties, all our desires should only to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then how can we achieve? That is the three aspects explained, that is Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaneti, Shabdete. And then he told that actually the conclusion is that it's only through the process of bhakti that we can cut the knots that are there in our heart. After describing this, Suta Goswami wants to describe that how you can attain that stage where you can cut the knots of our heart by taking the sword. And that sword is the process of bhakti. And after telling this, he gave the entire bhakti progression, that how your bhakti progresses. And it starts with Ado Shraddha till Prema. So that is given by Srila Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. But here our Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur moves one step ahead, and he gives us the various processes. And he gives not 9, but he gives 14 processes, progress sessions, steps by which you can attain the Supreme Lord. So now maybe you all can take turns, and you can raise your hand, or you want to unmute and speak. You can just let me know. So what are the various progression as per Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur? Yes, Saudamini Sundari Mataji. Maybe start with one. I want everybody to participate. So you can just tell me the first one that is being told by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Maybe I can stop
Yes,
so
ma'am.
I can see you all. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. First one is Satam Kripa.
Okay, first one is Satam Kripa. And what do you mean by Satam Kripa?
Satam Kripa is the causeless mercy of the devotees.
Yes, causeless mercy of a devotee. And that devotee may not be an Uttamadhikari. Example, like we go for book distribution, or we tell somebody to chant the holy name, or we give them the Bhagavad Gita, or we just tell them who Krishna is. So that is Satam Kripa. When you just come in contact with the devotee. A devotee may be a Kanishta, doesn't matter. But that is Mahat Kripa, Satam Kripa. That is getting the mercy of a devotee. Okay. Next stage, please, devotee. Yes, Ishwar Krishna Prabhu.
Mahat Seva,
Mahat Seva. Now, what do you mean by Mahat Seva?
serving the devotees.
Serving the devotees. So, like devotees invite you for Bhakti Vriksha, and then you reciprocate by going, or they offer you a book, then you reciprocate by taking, or they call you in the temple, they invite you for the Sunday feast, you go and you serve, and you just follow their instructions. That is Mahat Seva. Somehow or other, you please that devotee and you engage in the service of that devotee. Excellent. Third stage. Quickly.
Gurupadashraya.
No, before that. After that,
Shraddha.
before that, what do you get?
Shraddha.
Shraddha. So as you go and serve in the temple or you attend some Bhakti Vriksha programs, you start developing faith. From here, actually, Rupa Goswami talks about when he says, Ado Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha. So there he says that Shraddha is important. So just before that Shraddha, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he explains that actually it's Satam Kripa and Mahat Seva, and then comes Shraddha. When you get Shraddha, it can also be said that now you are getting some interest in the Shastras and you are getting Shastriya Shraddha. Yes, and then already Indulitha Mataji told that then comes your Sadhu Sangha. So after getting your some Shraddha in the Shastras, you somehow engage in sadhu sangha, because now from the shastras, now you have developed this faith that without sadhu sangha it's not possible for me to progress in my bhajan, in my bhakti. So you start associating with sadhu sangha so that you get more of sadhu sangha and you can progress. Yes, so 4 stages we have completed. Satam kripa, mahat seva, shraddha, guru padashraya. Okay, that already sadhu sangha means Guru Padashraya. You take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. After that, what happens?
Bhajaneshu Spraha.
Bhajaneshu Spriya. Yes, Mataji. Bhajaneshu Spriya means then after surrendering to the spiritual master, you start abiding with the instructions of the spiritual master and you start desiring to hear and you do some bhajan. And this bhajan includes a lot of things. It includes Shravanam, it includes Kirtanam, it includes Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Dasyam, Vandanam, Sakyam. So many processes can be, but your bhajan starts. Means you start doing bhajana kriya. Now in Madhurya Kadamini, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also discriminates and divides this bhajan kriya into anishtita bhajan kriya and nishtita bhajan kriya. Now that's not regarding to Bhakti Vaibhav session, but you should know that just bhajan kriya is not the next step. But this bhajan kriya also has 2 divisions, that is anishtita bhajan kriya and nishtita bhajan kriya. But point is that you engage in some bhajan kriya. After that, what happens?
Anartha Nivritti Mataji.
Okay. Okay, Madurai Mataji. Next, Shama Gopal Prabhu, you can tell the next one. Yes, so then you start developing anartha nivritti. Nivritti means you start getting rid of certain anarthas. The arishad vargas that are there in your heart. Arishad vargas are Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moh, Mad, Matsarya. All these vices that are sitting in their heart, we start getting rid of that. So anartha nivritti happens. Now that doesn't mean that anartha nivritti happens at a particular stage and then rest of the stage are clear. No, anartha nivritti goes on till the level of prema. So there are certain kind of anarthas that gets rid when we are fixed in nishtita bhajan kriya or in the later processes. This anarthas somehow will be carried. Sometimes it will be sukrit anarthas or it will be dushkrit anarthas or it may be through our, even bhakti produces anartha. When we progress in bhakti, we start getting puja, laha, pratishtha. People start recognizing us and we think, oh wow, we have become seniors now. We have become the teachers of Bhakti Vaibhav. Forget about Bhakti Vaibhav. We are the teachers of Bhakti Vedanta, Bhakti Sarvabhauma. We start developing those anarthas. So even to the level of that prema, these anarthas go long way, but start reducing as we progress more and more. Very nice. Yes, Shyam Gopal Prabhu. After that,
Nishtha.
Nishtha. Then we start developing Nishtha. So the basic anarthas, that is our dushkritino anarthas that have been arised because of some bad karmas, they get eradicated once we are fixed in our bhajan. They get eradicated. So major chunk is eradicated. So therefore, we are able to step forward in the next step, that is Nishtha. And in Nishtha also, Vishwanath Chakravarti divides two, Anishtita and Nishtita. So you have to be fixed in Nishtha, in that means determination. Nishtha means having determination. Okay, after that, somebody who has not answered. Yes, Akshay Prabhu.
Asakti,
Asakti. So, no. Before Nishtha,
Ruchi.
Ruchi. Yes, before, after Nishtha, you start developing taste. Because now when we are determined, then we start developing taste. Now we think previously till Nishtha, we were doing it with some motive, some hetu, maybe out of fear, maybe out of circumstances. But now, when we are fixed in, when our nishtha is fixed, it is to the level of fixed determination, then we start developing ruchi, we start developing taste. Right now, maybe I may be chanting because I gave vow to my spiritual master or to Vaishnavas that I'll be chanting 16 rounds. So we are doing it with nishtha, with determination, but there is some hetu behind, some cause behind. But now, when I start developing ruchi, then what happens? Then natural the taste comes. Then we don't need alarm clock. Then we don't need anyone to tell us, hey, you have to chant 16 rounds. Naturally, we start developing and doing some process of devotional service. Yes, and after that, you already said it's asakti. Asakti means then we start developing attraction. Asakti is attraction to the Supreme Lord and detachment from the material world. So again, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, when he comments on this beautiful verse in Madhurya Kadambini, he says that with asakti follows virakti also. Asakti towards Supreme Lord, to complete attachment, and virakti, the detachment from our material bondage or material things or material desires. So we start developing asakti. And after that asakti, already Akshay Prabhu said that it is rati, that is bhav. We start developing emotions, emotions for the Supreme Lord. Previously, again, it is not, those emotions are not there, but slowly and gradually, when this bhakti lata, this creeper grows, then it start developing some flowers, and this budding situation is known as our bhava. We start developing emotions, and after that, yes, Akshay Prabhu.
So, Mataji, I have a question. Like you said, what stage this Bhakti Lata crosses the material world and enters spiritual world? Like it
Yeah,
has to cross the Viraja river as well.
yeah, I'll tell you.
So,
So actually, in the case of bhava, we start developing those emotions. Okay. So after that, what is the next step? What is the next step after bhav?
Prem.
Prem. Then we get prem for the Supreme Lord. But our Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that it doesn't end here. After that, what you experience? After prem, what is there?
Darshanam.
Darshanam. Darshanam of whom? Darshanam of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But where do we have that darshanam?
in the heart.
In the heart. Antar mandire jago jago mohan pyare, right? That antar mandir, in your heart you start seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He starts reciprocating with you. So that is known as darshanam. But after darshanam, then what happens? The last?
Krishna Madhurya Anubhav.
Madhurya Anubhava. And then you start developing the Anubhav of Krishna's sweetness. And that time, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that you might have the Sakshat Darshan of the Supreme Lord. Again, that is not 100%. You can say that in Kali Yuga, it normally doesn't happen, but it happened for the pure devotees like our Srila Prabhupada. He saw the Supreme Lord personally, face to face, in that Jaladuta. So it happens. So then you start developing the direct darshan, and have the experience of Lord's sweetness. So these are the 14 stages. So please remember, Satam Kripa, Mahat Seva, Shraddha Guru Pada Ashraya, Bhajaneshu Spriya Bhaktir Anartha Pagamastataha, Nishtha Ruchi Atha Sakti Rati Prematha Darshanam, Harer Madhurya Anubhava iti artha Shyus Chaturdashe. So he is giving these 14. Now comes
Mataji, this is 13. I don't know. Maybe I missed something. Isn't it 13?
Satam Kripa, Mahat Seva, Shraddha, Guru Padashraya, Bhajaneshu Spriha.
Hmm.
Then
Anartha
comes
Nivriti.
Anartha
Anartha.
Bhaktataha. Then
Nishtha.
Bhakti, Ruchi, Asakti, Rati, 10. Then
Hmm.
Prema, 12. Darshanam, 13. And 14 is Hare Madhuri Anubhava.
No, Rati was 10. Then after that was Prema. Rati or
Prema.
Bhav is same, right?
Yeah, Rati Bhav is same. They are
And then 11th is Prema, 12th is Darshan, 13th. This is my. Did I miss something? That's okay, Mataji. I'll
Yeah,
refer later.
see, Satam.
Mataji, actually, in our discussion, we missed the 6th point, Bhakti. We did not discuss about that. And that's why it is coming as 30. Like after Bhajaneshu Spriha, we directly next one, Anartha Nivriti. We discussed that one.
So that is there, na? What? Okay, you have that Satam Kripa, Mahat Seva, Shraddha, Guru Padashraya, Bhajaneshu Spriha. Oh, yeah. In Gaurang Darshan Prabhu, it says that loving service to the Lord, Bhakti. So that is what is we were talking about. Oh, so this is what he's saying. So here, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying Bhajaneshu Spriya. He is dividing that Bhajaneshu, that Bhajan Kriya into two. That is Nishtita Bhajan Kriya and Anishtita Bhajan Kriya. And Anishtita Bhajan Kriya, he is combining in Bhajaneshu Spriya, and Nishtita Bhajan Kriya, he is taking it as a separate limb, that is Bhakti. Thank you, Sadamani Mataji.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you so
You
much.
got it? Again, Satam Kripa, Mahat Seva, Shraddha, Guru Padashraya, Bhajaneshu Spriya. And after Bhajaneshu Spriya is Nishtita Bhajan Kriya. That is, you start developing Bhakti. And then Anartha, and then Nishtha, Ruchi, Sakti, Rati, Prema, Darshanam, and Harir Madhurya Anubhava. Okay.
There was some verse you had recited while remembering
Yeah,
this.
this is the verse by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He himself quoted. It's a verse composed by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Okay. Yes, Divyangi Mataji.
Mataji, what is the difference between like Nishtita Bhajana Kriya and Nishtha?
No, see, Nishtita Bhajani Kriya is that now you are involving yourself in some service, but having some Nishtha. Means you are disciplined. That is Nishtita Bhajan Kriya. Anishtita Bhajan Kriya is sometimes it's waverings. It goes up and down, up and down. But with Nishtita Bhajan Kriya, now you are fixed in your bhajan. Whatever bhajan you are doing, whether it is hearing or whether it is remembering the Supreme Lord or whether it is chanting routine, whatever, now it is Nishtita. Means it is determined. You are completely fixed. You are very much disciplined. So that is Nishtita Bhajan Kriya. And after that, Anartha happens, Anartha Nivritti happens. And then he says you start developing Nishtha. Here, Nishtha means that now, previously that Bhajan Kriya was maybe out of some hetu. But having this nishtha, now you're firmly fixed and you're firmly determined that now you don't need any hetu. It becomes ahituki apratihata. Without any motivation and without any interruption, your bhajan itself becomes with nishtha. You are doing it with nishtha. In nishtita bhajan kriya, it can still have some hetu or some motive behind it. But after that anartha nivritti, when nishtha comes, that nishtha means now you are firmly fixed that your process is foolproof. It
Got
helps.
it, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Okay. So then you start developing ruchi, the taste. Okay. So after describing this, cutouts in audio signal. Anyone hearing cutouts in audio signal?
No, Mataji.
Maybe Nisha Mataji, you can check at your end, please. Okay, so I'll share my screen. So then, after telling this, the entire processes of this devotional services, these 14 stages, now our Sutta Goswami says, thus. Thus means, here he's saying that when you get enlivened with contact with devotional service to the Lord, you start gain some scientific knowledge of the personality of the Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Thus the knot. So before these stages, he was talking about the knot only. That you have to cut down that knot by anudhya. Remember that anudhya sina. Asina means sword, and dhyana with the sword of dhyana, and doing it constantly, following in the footsteps of all the acharyas, you cut down that knot. So take that sword. Intelligent person, take that sword. So then, now after describing that entire progression of bhakti, now Sutta Goswami is saying, thus, the knot that I was talking before this progression of bhakti, that knot in the heart is pierced with all these progression of bhakti. And then the misgivings are cut to pieces. And the chain of fruitive action is terminated, and then one sees the self as a master. So Preeti Vilasni Mataji has quoted Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Kramasandarbha Jiva Goswami, where they say self as a master means that you start developing, seeing the self in the heart, that darshanam start happening. Seeing the self means the supreme self in the heart. Actually, the word is drishta, seeing, evat, mana, ishvare. Means in the heart, you start developing, seeing the super soul, the presence of the super soul, or you start seeing the supreme Lord in the heart. Now, why Prabhupada is also saying that when one sees the self as the master, it looks like somehow impersonalism. That you start seeing yourself as the master, that means you are seeing that I am one with the super soul. But that is not the case. Prabhupada has explained in the purport very nicely that you start distinguish, a devotee start, it gets a distinguishment of matter and spirit, because now the knot of spirit and matter is untied by the Lord, and this knot is known as ahankara, or it falsely obliges a living entity to become identified with the matter. So self as the matter can also be understood that till now, self as a master can also be understood that till now what we were thinking, I am this body. So I am this body means this senses belongs to me, this mind belongs to me. So I have to hear whatever my senses say, and I have to hear whatever my mind says. If my eyes want to run in a particular direction, my mind also follows that. My nose want to run into a particular direction, my mind also wants to run. So till now what we were identifying that I am this body, I am this senses, I am this mind, and I am Godas. I am the servant of my senses. I am the servant of my mind, and therefore I am running behind. But now, after this progression of bhakti, now what we are seeing? We are seeing self as the master. Can also be understood that I am seeing myself as a Goswami now. That now I am no more senses. Now I am no more running behind the senses. I am no more running behind the mind. But now I have become the master of my own self, because I now know how to control myself. I know how to control my senses. I know how to control my mind. So this is the another meaning, because if you hear Prabhupada lecture on this verse, it will be very clear to you that when Prabhupada says that what does it mean that when one starts seeing self as a master, it is no more Mayavadi thing. It is a pure thing. Okay, that you start seeing yourself as the master of the senses and the master of your mind. And then, therefore, certainly, therefore, it says, Atovai, therefore, certainly, all the transcendentalists have been rendering this devotional service to Lord Krishna with great delight, because devotional service is enlivening. It is paramaya uda. That means when we perform devotional service, we have to not perform out of some burden. Rather, we should do it with great delight. So sukham kartum avvayam. That is how we perform devotional service. It has to be done with happiness. It has to be done with joy. It has to be done with enthusiasm. So that is the meaning. And all these transcendentalists, they perform because now they have understood that devotional service is very, very enlivening. So this was the previous recap, and now we will continue. But before that, I see Praladhananda Prabhu. Please go ahead, Prabhuji.
Mataji, I just wanted to add this Hriday Granthim
Hmm.
in 21st.
Hmm.
In Rushabdev Maharaj's Updesh 5.5.8, he is actually defining what is that Hriday Granthi. He says, Punsastriya mithuni bhava metam tayor mitho Hriday Granthi mahu. So that was, I heard some reference somewhere in some lecture. That's why I thought maybe just we can add little bit of a definition of Hriday Granthi at gross level. We are at the bodily platform Dehatma Buddhi, and then this slok actually defines what exactly in practical terms is Hriday Granthi. It is the note in the heart for a man, and a woman, like that. That's what I understand there.
So, yes, you are right. Even Prabhupada also, when he tells, he says that Hridaya Granthi, the biggest knot is the knot of attraction between the two opposite sex.
That's right, yes.
That is this Mithuni Bhavam, that verse that you are quoting, that the attraction for the sexual self. This is the biggest knot. This is the Hridaya Granthim. But yeah, we can always say that because we are following the 4 regulative principles, so we are beyond that. So even after getting rid from the attraction for the opposite sex, still there are lot of granthi, lot of knots that are there in our heart. So slowly and gradually those knots have to be pierced, but that can only be pierced when we do bhakti. Yes, for a conditioned soul, this is the biggest knot, because Prabhupada says this entire universe is working around only this one thing, that is the sexual life. But devotees can take it in the other sense that, well, we are following the 4 regulative principles in which illicit sex is there, so we don't get and engage into all these kind of illicit sex. So that means I don't have any knot in the heart. No, we may have still lot of heart. We may have lot of knots, the knot of enviousness, the knot of Puja Labh Pratishtha, which is also a biggest knot. Bhakti Vinod Thakur says that Puja Labh and Pratishtha is like a stool of a hog. Now, why he didn't say that it's like a stool of some jiva? Because he says like we, what we take, what is the intake? Our intake is prasadam. So prasadam is pure. So yes, our whatever we take out is impure, but at least our intake is pure. But puja, labh, and pratishtha, especially on the path of bhakti, is like the intake of a hog. What we take out is the intake of a pig. That is what is compared. And if the intake is so bad, what can you imagine the outcome of it? So the outcome is what is compared to as puja, labh, and pratishtha by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So yes, we may have a lot of granthis, a lot of knots we have, and all those knots have to be pierced. But as Prabhuji said, that for a conditioned living entity, this is the biggest knot, and that knot is the attraction for the opposite sex. Thank you, Prabhuji. So now we continue with verse number 23. Sattvam rajastama iti prakritirgunaster yukta para purusha eka ihasya dhatte sthiti adya hari virinchi hareti samya shreyamsi tatra khalu sattvatanur nirnamsyu. So now, up till now, what he was describing the glory of Bhakti. Sutta Goswami was describing the glory of Bhakti. But now in the upcoming session that we will be reading, the glory of Bhagavan will be established. He wants to establish that you do Bhakti, but Bhakti for whom? Bhakti can only be done for Bhagavan, for that Supreme Personality of Godhead who is the object of our worship. So now from this verse number 23 to 25, he will be establishing that yes, the Supreme Lord may still indirectly be associated with this material world, but when he takes the form of Vishnu, that is what he is to be worshipped. So what he's saying, Sattvam Rajas Tama iti Prakritir Gunastair. The Prakriti is made up of gunas, and those gunas are of three. Ter means three. That guna is made up of three kinds. That is Sattvam, that is goodness, Rajas, passion, and Tama, that is darkness. So Sattvam Rajas Tama iti Prakritir Gunaitair means it is made by these Sattvam, Rajas, and ignorance. Yukta Parapurusha Eka Ihasya Datte. And our Parapurusha, our Supreme Lord, our Transcendental Lord, is also associated, Yukta, with this Prakriti. How he is associated? Sthiti Adya. Sthiti Adya. So Sthiti Adya means that he is referring to Srishti, Sthiti, and Pralay. Means the creation, maintenance, and the destruction. So that Supreme Personality of Godhead takes form and comes and interacts with this material nature to do these three processes. So he didn't mention all the three, but he says Sthiti Adi means etc. But with Sthiti Adi, he means with Srishti, that is creation, Sthiti, that is maintenance or preservation, and Pralaya, that is destruction or dissolution. And what form does he take? How he interacts? Hari. He comes as Hari. Hari means the Supreme Lord Vishnu. What function he performs? He performs a function of maintenance. He performs a function of preservation, sthiti. Virinchi is the another name of Lord Brahma, where Virinchi, the function of Virinchi, the Brahma, is to create, that is Srishti. And Hare refers to Mahadev, Har Mahadev, right? So Hara refers to Mahadev. So he comes as Har, not Hare. Hare is actually Srimati Radharani, but Hari, Virinchi, and Har. Iti, like this, he comes together, Samya. He comes as Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva. Shreyamsi Tatra, Shreyamsi. For what purpose they accept these Gunavataras? For Shreyamsi. Shreyamsi means for the ultimate benefit. Tatra Khalu Sattva Tanor Ninam Syu. And of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit only from Vishnu, who is the form of the quality of goodness. So Prabhupada in the translation, he writes, anyone wants to read the translation?
Can read, Mataji.
Yeah, go ahead. Anyone.
Thank you. Translation. The transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the three modes of material nature, namely passion, goodness, and ignorance. And just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction, he accepts the three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. So they take these three forms, these qualitative forms. So Brahma is in the mode of passion, Shiva mode of ignorance, and Vishnu mode of goodness. Now, this doesn't mean that Brahma is in mode of passion or Shiva is in the mode of ignorance. No. The point here is to understand that they take three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, where Brahma controls the mode of passion, Vishnu controls the mode of goodness, and Shiva controls the mode of ignorance. They themselves are not into these modes, but they are the controller of these three modes. So Prabhupada writes, Lord Krishna, by his plenary parts, so this is also very important, that he indirectly associate. He is not directly associating. He comes as Gunavataras and he indirectly associate. But among those Gunavataras, Vishnu is the one whom we are supposed to worship, and we derive ultimate benefit only after worshipping Vishnu. Why he is saying all this? Because till now he's been telling these processes of bhakti. But he says bhakti has to be done for whom? Can bhakti be done for Brahma? Can bhakti be done for Vishnu? Or sorry, Lord Shiva? No. This bhakti can be done only for Lord Vishnu, who is the controller of the mode of goodness, who maintains, who is sthiti for this entire creation. The Vishnu, or the deity of the quality of goodness in the material world, is the Purusha avatar known as Chirodakshai Vishnu or Paramatma. Brahma is the for passion and Shiva is for ignorance. They are the three departmental heads. That's what Prabhupada is saying. And Vishnu is manifested by his millions. Now the integrated forms are called Godhead and the separated forms are called the living entities. So Swamsa and Vibhinamsa. We Jivas are Vibhinamsa. Both the Jivas and the Godhead have their original spiritual forms. Jivas are subjected sometimes to the control of material energy, but the Vishnu forms are always the controllers. We can somehow be subjected to the control, but all these forms of Lord Vishnu are always the controllers. Such living beings appear in the material world with intentions of being lording over this material nature, and thus they are both become entrapped by the modes of material nature. So he is telling, Prabhupada is telling in the purport that living entities, yes, they are the Amsha of the Supreme Lord. They are Vibhin Amsha. They are part and parcel of that Supreme Lord. Mamai Vamsha Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. We are also Sanatanas. But we have now separated from that Supreme Lord. We are his part and parcel. And why we have come? Because in this material world, we have an intention to become Ishvara. We have an intention to lord it over nature, and therefore we are entrapped by the three modes of material nature. Krishna bhuliya jiva bhogavancha kare, pashate maya tare, jhapatiya dhare. In Prema Vivarta, Jagadananda Pandit says, he describes this, that why Jiva becomes entrapped by the Maya. It's Krishna Bhuliya. We are forgetting Krishna and Bhogavancha Kare, and we desire something for our own sense gratification. And the moment we have certain desires, that I want to lord it over, I want to become Ishvara in some sense or other. Seeing that desire, Nikate Mayasthe, Maya is standing just near. Pashate or Nikate, she is standing. Maya is standing near, Chapatiya Dhare, and she immediately takes control of that Jiva. And depending upon our desire, that Maya gives us a certain type of body so that we can fulfill all our desires. Okay. So when she traps us, then what happens? Chaitanya Charitamrita, it mentions Krishna Bhuli Jiva Anadi Bahirmukha. For time immemorial, we have turned our face away from Krishna. Ataiva Maya Taredeya. Now that's why Maya knows that this person, this Jiva, this entity has turned his face against Krishna. So she immediately takes control and she gives us some kind of deha, and she keeps us in this sukha, in this samsara dukkha. She entraps us, and that's why we suffer. The living entities have to change their material coverings for undergoing different types of imprisonment. Yes, this is a prison house. In the prison house, the material world is created by Brahma under the instruction, and at the conclusion of his kalpa, the whole thing is destroyed by Lord Shiva. As far as the maintenance of the prison house is concerned, it is done by Vishnu. And therefore, anyone who wishes out of this prison house, what he has to do, which is full of miseries, he must please Lord Vishnu because he is Mukunda, one who gives liberation. So no demigod can release the imprisoned living entity from the conditioned life of material existence. This can only be done by Vishnu. Therefore, Shreyamsi, the ultimate benefit may be derived only from Vishnu, who is the personality of Godhead. Shreyamsi tatra khalu sattvatanor nirnamsyu. All the living entities should bow down and should worship the Supreme Lord Vishnu, from whom one can attain the ultimate benefit. Now comes the verse number 24. So in 24, now he is telling that, yes, let's see the verse actually. पार्थिवद्दारुणो धूमस्तस्मात् अग्निस्त्रयी मया तमसस्तु रजस्तस्मात् सत्वं यद् ब्रह्मदर्शनम्. So Parthivad Dhumas. Now he's saying Parthivat means the earth. From earth what we get? Wood. Daru. Daru means wood, the firewood. And we know that in the wood what is embedded? Fire. Fire is always there in the wood. And then he says dhumas, that is smoke. So he is saying among all these things, earth from where the firewood comes and the smoke, the Agni, that is the fire, is actually the superior. So firewood is a transformation of earth. Smoke is better than wood because with smoke we still know that there might be some fire hidden. But with wood we don't know. You have to specifically bring something outside for the wood to be ignited, for the wood to be transformed into fire. But once the smoke is there, still there may be some fire embedded in it. So he is saying that smoke is better than that raw wood, but better than smoke is fire. Tamasastu rajas tasmat. Similarly, the mode of ignorance, tamas and rajas, out of these two, rajas is better. Mode of passion is better than that of mode of ignorance. But sattvam, better than mode of passion, is the mode of ignorance. Yad Brahma Darshanam. Because when we come on to the level of mode of goodness, only then we can understand the Supreme Lord. Brahma Darshanam. Who is Brahma? Brahmana. Brahmana is the one. Brahma Janiti Brahmana. We know that. So one who has seen that Brahma Darshan, who is having that Brahma Darshan, naturally he is a Brahmana and he is in the mode of goodness. So the point is that if we have to come to the realization of the absolute truth, then we have to come on the platform of goodness. Without coming onto the platform of goodness, we cannot understand what is my ultimate benefit and whom I have to approach. So you have to come onto the level of goodness in order to know the Supreme Lord, in order to have Brahma Darshanam. Prabhupada writes, Brahma Darshanam is the realization of the absolute truth. So realization of the absolute truth cannot happen in these three modes. Normally this example is given that suppose if I have to fly to a certain place, then flying means I transcend and then I landed into my destination. If I want to go somewhere, suppose if from US, if I have to go to India, India is my destination. But to land to the land of India, I have to transcend this US. I have to go beyond this jurisdiction of US territory. So this is known as transcending. So transcending means now when we have to realize the supreme absolute truth, we have to transcend these three modes of material nature. And to transcend these three modes of material nature, you have to come on to the level of mode of goodness. The example is given that suppose if I have to go to India and I have to board a flight. Then to board a flight, I cannot expect airplane to come right in front of my house. I have to go to the airport. I have to do necessary things, whatever is to be needed, all the formalities to be done in order to board that plane which is going to India. So going to the airport means that you have to come to the level of mode of goodness in order to board the flight, in order to transcend. Okay, so this is how we have to understand. To realize the absolute truth, it cannot happen. Even in the mode of goodness also, it cannot be happen. You have to transcend that modes. All the three modes you have to transcend to realize the supreme absolute truth in your heart. But to come to that level of realizing, you have to come to the level of mode of goodness. You have to go to an airport to board the flight. Okay. So now, as explained above, Prabhupada writes, one can get release from the conditioned life of material existence by devotional service. Okay. It is further comprehended here that one has to rise to the platform of mode of goodness so that we can be eligible to perform devotional service of the Lord. But if there are impediments, then those impediments have to be given away. We have to gradually rise to the sattva platform. How? By the expert direction of the spiritual master. So here comes the role of a spiritual master. The role of a spiritual master is that he helps us to come to the level of sattva, to come to the level of goodness. Since candidates must therefore approach, sincere candidates therefore approach an expert spiritual master for a progressive march, and a bona fide expert spiritual master is competent to direct a disciple from any stage of life, whether the person is in tamas, rajas, or sattva. It is a mistake, therefore, to consider that worship of any quality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is equally beneficial. It is a mistake. We have to come out, and therefore, these all Vishnus are separated. Forms are manifested under the conditions of material energy, and therefore the forms of material energy cannot help one to rise to the platform of sattva. You need someone who can liberate you or who can guide you. So this is the point that we have to understand, that without understanding without coming on to the level of mode of goodness, we cannot. In other words, there is a qualitative difference between the different kinds of worshipping methods as well as the respective results derived from the predominating deities, namely Brahma, Vishnu, and Hara. And what are those? That we will see in the next verse, where he will tell, भेजिरे मुनयोथाग्रे भागवतम अधोक्षजम सत्वम विशुद्धम क्षेमाय कल्पन्ते ये तु नातन इहा. Previously, okay, somebody can read the translation.
Can I read, Mataji?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Previously, all the great sages rendered service unto the personality of Godhead due to his existence above the three modes of material nature. They worshipped him to become free from material conditions and thus derive the ultimate benefit. Whoever follows such great authorities is also eligible for liberation from the material world.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. So what we have to do is we have to worship that Supreme Personality of Godhead whose existence is above the three modes of material nature. But they worshipped him, how? Why? To become free from the material conditions. And what are the material conditions? That we are stuck into some kind of karma kanda or jnana kanda, and we cannot achieve the ultimate benefit. To achieve the ultimate benefit, we have to go to the mode of goodness to realize the supreme absolute truth. But this can be done when we follow the great authorities who are also eligible. When we follow the great authorities, we also become eligible for liberation from the material world. So this, let us understand a little bit that what it is. See, whatever activity, till the time we are conditioned, we are performing certain activities with our senses. And when we perform those activities, we are quote unquote known as sense gratifiers. And when we are sense gratifiers, we are entangled by the laws of material nature. Okay, till now it is all clear. Now, these laws of material nature, when they act on us, they are this entanglement basically. This is known as Vishaya. Okay. Now, when we perform something, certain activities for our sense gratification, we can either do pious activity or we can do some impious activity. When we do some pious activity, it is known as suvishaya. Means we are doing some pious activities only, but the point is that we are still involved in some sense gratification. We are not doing for samsiddhir haritoshanam. We are not doing for pleasing the Supreme Lord. We are still concerned with our sense gratification, but we are following some pious life. That is known as suvishaya. विषय तो है, entanglement तो है. There is 100% entanglement. Why? Because we are still sense gratifiers. So there will be entanglement. But because we are following some pious way to get that entanglement, we are into suvishaya. So this pious will lead to some pious results also. Now, if we follow certain impious activities for our sense gratification, that is known as kuvishaya. Now, Prabhupada, he wants to establish this point that whether you are doing kuvishaya or whether you are doing suvishaya, they both are not on the highest level. Definitely kuvishaya is the worst, but even suvishaya, anything that we are doing piously, but if it is for our sense gratification, if it is not for the Supreme Lord, then these will have certain repercussions to it. Even the piety will have certain repercussions, certain results. And to bear that piety, we have to come back to this material mode. And we have to get entangled. So, kuvishaya or whether it is suvishaya, they both follow under the category of karma kanda. Similarly, this kuvishaya and suvishaya also has its direction in jnana kanda. So in karma kanda, we are attached to fruitive activities. But in jnana kanda, what happens? We are into some kind of philosophical speculation. So there also there is some kuvishaya and some suvishaya to attain liberation. Because that is the mood. For jnanis, they know that this world is worthless. What they want, they still have hetu. What hetu? That I want to get rid of this cycle of birth and death. And I want certain liberation. Now for that also there is kuvishaya and suvishaya. So point is whether we are in karma khanda or jnana khanda, it is all vishaya bhanda. Our Narottam Das Thakur, he sings ki karma khanda, jnana khanda, kevala vishera bhanda. It is simply a pot of poison. And he's saying somehow if Jiva thinks, no, this is not the pot of poison, rather it's Amrit, it's the pot of nectar. I get so much pleasure. My senses are gratified. Then he's saying, okay, if that is the case, then Nana Yoni Sada Phire, then you will keep on coming into this 8,400,000 species of life. So karma kanda, jnana kanda, kevala vishaya kanda, amrita baliya yada khai. If thinking, no, this is amrit, and if somebody eats this vishaya bhanda, then what happened? Nana yoni sada phire. And he is always revolving in this cycle of birth and death. And there is no excuse to it. Okay, there is no excuse. But he's saying, if somebody follows the great authorities who knows that this karma khanda, jnana khanda is simply a vishara khanda, is the pot of poison, then they will enlighten you that, hey, this is poison. Don't drink this or don't think of consuming this. It's totally poison. Think of something higher. Then when we follow the footsteps of those authorities, then we are also eligible to get liberation from this cycle of birth and death. So why I stated all this, so that we understand that why we are entangled, what is the reason, and then how can we come out of it. So the purpose of performing religion, Prabhupada writes, is neither profit by material gain nor to get simple knowledge. Jnana khanda bhi nahi chahiye, karma khanda bhi nahi. No. The ultimate aim of religion is to release oneself from this material bondage and to regain the life of freedom in the transcendental world, where the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Supreme Person. And then he quotes that there are 12 Mahajans, we all know. Okay, let's ask devotees, quickly name one by one. Who are those 12 Mahajans that Prabhupada is referring to?
Prahlad.
Huh?
Prahlad.
Okay, Prahlad Maharaj.
Yama.
Vyasadeva.
Vyasadeva.
Bhishma.
Yamaraj.
Yamaraj.
Janaka
Swayambhu
Maharaj.
or Brahma.
Maharaj.
Brahma or Swayambhu.
Swayambhu Manu.
Bali.
Narada.
Bali Maharaj.
Well,
Done, right? Almost done. Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu, Lord Shiva. Kumara, and then Kapila Dev. Who Kapila? A theistic Kapila, the son of Devahuti and Kardama. Then Manu, Swayambhu Manu. Prahlada, Janako, Bhishma. Prahlad Maharaj, Janak Maharaj, Bhishma. Bali Maharaj. Then Sukadev Goswami. And then Narad Muni himself, he's saying. Yamaraj himself. Because this verse is by Yamaraj. He is quoting this 12 Mahajans. So Prabhupada says, there are 12 particular agents of the Lord. And these are the 12 Mahajans, which was quoted by Yamaraj, who knows this person of purpose of religion, and all of them render transcendental service unto him. Therefore, persons who desire their own good follow these Mahajanas to attain the supreme benefit. Mahajano yana gatasa pantha, that you have to follow in the footsteps of these Mahajans. So till now, what Suta Goswami has said, that yes, bhakti is important, but that bhakti has to be performed only to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then he says that Supreme Personality of Godhead sometimes come in Guna Avataras, but in those 3 Guna Avataras, Vishnu is the Supreme, because Vishnu is the controller of the mode of goodness, and to realize the Supreme Absolute Truth, one has to come to the level of Sattva Guna to understand. Then when one comes on to the level of Sattva Guna, then one spiritual master, when person takes Guru Pada Ashraya and does Vishrambhena Guru Seva, when he performs menial service to the spiritual master, then the spiritual master tells that no, this place is not worth living, and our performing religion is not for material gain nor for simple knowledge, but it is to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This knowledge comes from the Supreme or spiritual master, and when we follow the instructions of the spiritual master, then we become eligible to liberation. Now the question can be arisen by all the sages of Naimisharanya, that what to talk about the demigod worship. People worship demigods. So is worshipping demigod not good? Then now from 26 and 22 verses, Suta Goswami will be telling that one should reject demigod worship. And he says, Mumukshavo ghora rupan hitva bhuta patin atha narayana kalhashanta bhajanti he anusuyavaha. Anusuya means that you have to become non-envious. Suyava means enviousness. Anasuyava means non-envious. So anyone can read the translation?
those who are serious about liberation are certainly non-envious. and they respect all. Yet they reject the horrible and ghastly forms of the demigods and worship only the all blissful forms of Lord Vishnu and his plenary portions.
Thank you, Mataji. So, mumukshava. Mumuksha means to get rid from the cycle of birth and death, to attain liberation. If somebody is desiring liberation, then they should be what? They should be anusuya. They have to be non-envious and they have to respect all. But yet they reject. Bhajanti hi anusuya. They worship or they respect everybody. But they reject what? They reject Ghora Rupam. They reject the horrible and the ghastly incarnation of that Supreme Lord, which comes for a specific purpose. Hitva, Bhuta, and Bhutapati. Bhutapati means it refers to Lord Shiva, but it also refers to the Pitris or Brahma, all the demigods. Then what do? Narayana Kalashanta. They always worship only the Supreme Lord and his Kala. Ete Chamsa Kalhapumsa. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Yes, this is the Paribhasha Sutra of Srimad Bhagavatam. We have not come, it will be coming in the next chapter. But the point is that Supreme Lord Krishna is the Swayam Bhagavan, and he comes into his portions, his plenary portions, his portions of his plenary portions, his Kala, his Amshas, but they all are worshipable. They all are worshipable. So the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna is the original person, expands himself into two categories, the integrated plenary portions and separated parts and parcels. The separated parts and parcels, who are Vijivas, who are Vibhanamshas, they are servitors. We are always in Dasya. And the integrated plenary portion of Vishnu Tattvas, that Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narsimha, they all are worshipable objects of service. Now, why we don't worship demigods? Then Prabhupada writes, the demigods, they are empowered. Because this word, Bhutapatin, Atha, means the demigod worship. It doesn't mean only Lord Shiva, it means everybody, the Bhuta, the Pritis, or the Brahma, all the demigods. So demigods, they are empowered by the Supreme Lord. They are also separated part and parcels like we jivas. They do not belong to the category of Vishnu Tattva. They do not have unlimited powers like Vishnu Tattva. We know so many examples. So many examples. Ravana, he pleased demigod. Hiranyakashipu, he got boon from Brahma. But Hiranyakashipu want to become immortal. But Brahma says, no, even I am not immortal. How can I make you immortal? So, therefore, one should never classify Vishnu Tattvas on the plenary portion of Narayan. If somebody does that, he becomes an offender and he is known as Pashandi. In the age of Kali, many foolish people commit this of unlawful offenses and equalize these two categories, that tum bhi Bhagwan, I am Bhagwan. You are God, I am God. No, that is not true. And somebody also says that, oh, if you worship Kali or you worship Durga or you worship Krishna, you have the same destination. This is an offense. And what is this offense? The second offense. What is the second offense of, what is the Namaprad? Second Namaprad? Quickly. What is the second? Yeah,
To
go.
consider the names of
Go ahead, Mike.
to consider the names of demigods.
Considering the name of Lord Shiva and Brahma equal or independent of Lord Vishnu.
To consider the names of demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva to be equal or independent to the Lord Vishnu. This is an offense. You don't have to consider them equal also. At the same time, you cannot consider that they are working independently. They are also the servitors. So the separated parts and parcels have different positions in the estimations of their material powers, like Kala Bhairava, Shamshan Bhairava, Shani, Ma Kali, Chandika. These are all Ghora Rupam. They appeared for certain purpose. These demigods are mostly worshipped by those who are in the mode of ignorance. You must have seen some tantric people, they worship Mahakali or Shani or Chandika. But others, demigods like Brahma, Shiva, Surya, Ganesh, who are not that ghastly, they are worshipped by those who are in the mode of passion. But still, that is also not to be propagated. But those who are actually situated in the mode of goodness, they will worship only Vishnu Tattvas. And here Vishnu Tattvas are represented by many forms such as Narayan, Damodar, Vamana, Govinda, and Adhokshaja. So here the word comes, in the previous actually it was the word Adhokshajam. So what is the meaning of Adhokshajam? Adhokshajam means, Aksha means eyes. One who cannot be perceived by the material eyes is known as Adhokshajam. Means he cannot fall. Adha means to fall. And Aksha means eyes. So one who cannot fall onto that level where we can perceive him through our material's eyes. That is Adhokshajam, that Supreme Personality. So here also Prabhupada is saying that these are different Vishnu forms. Now, because you can ask this question, that even Narsimha has a Ghora form, Ghora Rupam. He came in a very ferocious form. But still we worship Narsimha Dev. Why? Because he is Vishnu Tattva. He is the Supreme Lord, who, though he comes for a specific reason, but he also established the reason where he becomes Bhakti Vigna Vinashak. He becomes the personality who destroys all the impediments that a jiva can have on the process of bhakti. So that Ghora Rupam, though he comes in that ferocious form, can still be worshipped. So the qualified Brahmanas, they worship the Shalagram Shilas. And we know this Narsimha Shaligram Shila was worshipped by Sri Advaita Acharya to call upon Krishna, who came as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They know very well, these highly qualified Brahmanas, they are situated in the mode of goodness and have no grudges against the mode of worship of others. They have all respect for the other demigods, even they may look ghastly like Kala Bhairav and Mahakali. They know very well that these horrible features of the Supreme Lord are different servitors of the Lord and which have come for certain purpose. Yet they reject the worship of both horrible and attractive feature of the demigods, and they concentrate only on the forms of Vishnu because they are serious about liberation from the material condition. So why somebody worship these demigods? So that they can quickly get the results. Worshipping demigods, we quickly get the results that we aspire for. What is that verse in Bhagavad Gita? It was a memorizable verse, if anybody remembers, that when we worship the demigods, we get limited benefit, and the benefit or the benediction that we get is also temporary. What is that verse?
Antavantu phalam tesam.
Thank you, Prabhu. Antavattu phalam tesham tadbhavati alpamedhasam. Those who are alpamedha, those who are not intelligent, as Prabhupada says very beautifully, those who have poor fund of knowledge. It's a classic statement that Prabhupada makes. So those who are alpamedhasa, those who are less intelligent, they worship demigods because with demigods they think they can quickly achieve the results. And yes, they do. But those results are what? They are antavattu phalam tesham. When they work, then when they get that results, those results are temporary. The moment you die, there is no use of those results. But there Krishna says, Devan deva yajo yanti mad bhakta yanti mamapi. Those who worship me will achieve my planet. So If we think that the demigods and the God, the Supreme Lord, if that's all on the same level, then we are the biggest Pashandi. We are the atheist, if we consider. And even if somebody tells you that it's the same destination, whether you worshipped Kali or Durga or Shiva or Krishna, it's one and the same thing. Don't hear such statements. It's an atheistic mentality. Prabhupada writes that they are Pashandis. And we should not worship. Even Lord Brahma and Vishnu, Lord Brahma and Shiva, they worship the Supreme Lord. When we were discussing about Chaitanya class, the glorification of Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, at that time also the verse came, Shiva Virunchi Nutam, that even the Supreme Lord, Brahma and Shiva, they also Nutam, they also pay obeisances to Lord Vishnu. So how can we equate them on the same level? No, we cannot equate them on the same level. So therefore, Vishnu and none else is known as Mukti Pada, and therefore his name is Mukunda. And he is the personality of Godhead who gives mukti. And demigods being other, they are liquidated at the time of annihilation of the material structure. So it is for this reason that the candidates for liberation should worship only the Supreme Lord, not other demigods, but no disrespect for any one of them. This is very important statement where Prabhupada writes. Normally we see that we devotees, we call ourselves as Krishna Bhaktas, we are the one who commit the greatest offense against these devotees, these demigods. We say that, oh, no means no. We will not respect them. But that should not be the case. We should not worship them exclusively. Our ananyata should be towards our Ishtadev, our Krishna, our Srimati Radharani, the divine couple. But at the same time, we should not ignore that these are empowered personalities. They are working for Krishna. Krishna himself has empowered them. So we cannot ignore them. We have to give respects to them, but at the same time, we don't have to exclusively worship them. Like the example of watering the root. So many times we have discussed. So worshipping our Ishtadev is like watering the roots, where we don't have to water the branches separately. But at the same time, we have to acknowledge the presence of those branches, those twigs, those flowers, those leaves. That means we have to respect them, but exclusively we don't go out of our way to worship them. So when some problem comes, we still go towards Krishna. Akama, sarva kama, moksha kama udaradi. Whatever, whether we have some kamna or we don't have kamna, still we go to our worshipable Lord. But if we happen to go to certain temples, like the temples of demigods, we still pay respect, we still give our obeisances, and we pray for prema bhakti. So this is very, very important statement, that those who have that higher goal in their mind, that is liberation, they deliberately reject. They don't keep all the pictures of 33 million demigods at their home. They reject the worship of the demigods, but at the same time, they do not disrespect any one of them. This is the important. Now, 27th also deals with demigod worship. रजस्तमस्तमः प्राकृत्य समशीला भजन्ति वै पितृभूता प्रजादेशादिन् श्री ऐश्वर्या प्रजेप्शवः. So now somebody can read the translation.
Those
Go ahead.
Those who are in the mode of passion and ignorance worship those in the same category, namely the forefathers, other living beings, and the demigods who are in the charge of cosmic activities, for they are urged by a desire to be materially benefited with woman, wealth, power, and progeny.
Thank you, Prabhu. So here what Suta Goswami was saying, Hitva Bhuta Patin Atha means Bhutapati means the demigods, and Bhutapati also refers to Lord Shiva. So now he's continuing this and he's saying Rajastamha Prakritya, jinka nature, the mentality of a jiva, if it is under Rajas, that is passion or ignorance, they will worship Samashila, they will worship the demigods who are also having the same category of Raja and Tama. You getting my point? Our nature, the nature of a living entity will also be Rajas and Tamas. And because we are always in Rajas and Tamas, we are naturally attracted to someone, to worship someone who is also in Rajas and Tamas. And who are those? Pitra Bhuta Prajeshadin. And they are Pitris, they are Bhutas. And for what we worship? We worship for Shriya, Aishwarya, Prajep, Shava. So what does it mean? So Shri means beauty. Shri also means wealth. But here, because it is Shri Aishwarya, so Shri specifically means beauty and Aishwarya means riches, or you can say opulence. And the word Prajapeshava, Praja means the progeny. Ishava means to desire. So desire what? Shri, that is beauty, Aishwarya, wealth or opulence, and Praja, that is progeny. So Prabhupada, he writes that they need sons, they need grandsons, they need great grandsons. So for all that, for all desiring, having this desire of beauty, riches, opulence, and this progeny that, this dynasty should continue and I should have lot of sons and grandsons and then great grandsons. So to fulfill all these desires, because all these desires are in Rajas and Tamas, so they also worship the Lord who is also in Rajas and Tamas, who fulfill all these desires. So Prabhupada actually, he mentions this. It's a very common saying in Bengali. I know Saudamini Mataji is a Bengali and she must be knowing. So there is a proverb in Bengali where it says Nati Nati Sagya Bhati. So Nati means the grandson. In Bengali, in Hindi, they say Nati. So if one see a grandson and Nati is grandson, Natis means they see the grandson of the grandson. Then they sing Sagya Bhati. That means their life is successful. So that means 6 generations. So Nati means grandsons and Natis means the grandson of that grandson. So 6 generation. And when they have all this, when they have this beauty, women, bank balance, opulence, then they say Sagya Bhati. That means your life is successful. Now, so this is all what? This is all Rajas. This is all Tamas. Shri, Aishwarya, opulence, these are all when we are influenced by some passion and ignorance. And one who is influenced by this Sattva Guna, that is goodness, he denies all this. Like our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What he says? Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaya. I don't want anything. I don't want followers. I don't want dhan. I don't want janam. I don't want anything. What do you want? Janma janmeshware bhavtat bhaktir ahituki tvai. I only want your ahituki service day after day. So Prabhupada writes, there is no need to worship these demigods of whosoever category if one is serious about going home back to Godhead. Again, the point comes the same. Antavattu phalapapam. That all these benedictions that we receive from these demigods, it's all temporary. It all belongs to this material world. And the moment we die, everything is gone. So material enjoyment should be accepted only up to the point of the bare necessities of our life and not more than that. To accept material enjoyment means to bind oneself more and more in the miseries of material existence. More wealth, more women, false aristocracy, they are all demands, and that will entangle us more and more. And to fulfill these demands, we worship those demigods, but that is not the aim of our life. So for material enjoyment, there is no need to approach the demigods. The demigods are just the servants of the Lord. One should work hard and worship the Supreme Lord for the fruits of one's hard labor for existence, and that should be the motto of our life. And Krishna himself says that all this, he was personally present in Rajdham, and we know that how he stopped Indra Puja and he established the puja of Govardhan, Giri Govardhan. So worshipping the multi-demigods for material gain is practically a perversity of religion. It's not the real religion, it's the Kaitava Dharma. And our, what do you say, Bhagavatam, he rejects. The Bhagavatam says, Dharma projito kaitavatra paramo nirmatsaranam satam. So Bhagavatam from the very beginning, it rejects that no performance of Kaitava Dharma. Only have faith in the Supreme Lord. One should only follow that one Bhagavad Dharma that teaches that one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no one else. Ekale Ishvara Krishna Arasava Bhritya. The Supreme Lord is one and we are all his servants. Important verse 28 and 29. Probably this will be the last verse and then we can end up. Rest of the 4 verses we can cover in the Thursday section. This is again establishing that how the Supreme Lord is the highest. This is a memorizing verse, so we'll recite this. Vasudeva para Veda, Vasudeva para Makha, Vasudeva para Yoga, Vasudeva para Kriya, Vasudeva param Jnanam, Vasudeva param Tapa, Vasudeva para Dharmo, Vasudeva para Gati. Okay, devotees have raised their hands. Yes, Parambhavani Mataji.
Krishna Dev Mataji. Vasudeva para Veda, Vasudeva para Makha, Vasudeva para Yoga, Vasudeva para Kriya, Vasudeva param Jnanam, Vasudeva param Tapaha, Vasudeva param Dharmo, Vasudeva para Gatihi. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. I know a lot of devotees have raised their hands, but in interest of time, I'm so sorry I cannot allow you all to read because it's already 5 minutes to 9. And in 5 minutes, we'll summarize this. I don't want to hold on to everyone. So, sorry. So Vasudeva Paraveda means the ultimate object of the Vedas is Sri Krishna. Which is that verse? Which is that verse that tells us that the ultimate object of the Vedascha Sarve Aham Eva Ved. So the ultimate object of Vedas is Krishna. Vasudeva Para Makha. Makha means the sacrifice. The purpose of sacrifice is to please Krishna. What is that verse?
Bhoktaram
Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam, that he is the ultimate benefactor. There is another. Huh? What?
Yagna Shishta.
No. Yagnartha karmano nyatra loko yam karma.
Yes.
Yeah, very nice. So, if we perform any sacrifice to please Krishna, that will help us. Otherwise, all other sacrifices are simply a bondage. Vasudeva para yoga. Yoga is to realize Sri Krishna. Verse number 647. What is that verse? Bhagavad Gita.
Yoginamapi Sarvesham.
Yoginamapi Sarvesham. So yoga, if somebody is performing yoga, the yoga, it is to realize Sri Krishna. Vasudeva Parakriya. All the fruitive activities are also rewarded by Vasudev, that is Krishna. Vasudeva Param Jnanam. He is the supreme knowledge. Vasudev Param Tapa. He is the austerities. Whatever austerity we are performing, it is, we should know that we are doing it for the pleasure of Krishna, to know Krishna. Vasudeva Paradharma, all the dharma, the religion is what it is. Savaipamsa Parodharma is to love, is to establish our loving service towards Lord Krishna. Vasudev Paragati, and the supreme goal of life is also Sri Krishna. Okay. Madurai Mataji raised her hand to read the verse, but Mataji, you can read the translation.
Sure, Mataji, thank you. In the revealed scriptures, the ultimate object of knowledge is Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The purpose of performing sacrifice is to please him. Yoga is for realizing him. All fruitive activities are ultimately rewarded by him only. His supreme knowledge and all severe austerities are performed to know him. Religion, dharma, is rendering loving service unto him. He is the supreme goal of life.
He is the supreme goal of our life. So Prabhupada has established in purport also that the sum and substance of the Vedas is to know the Supreme Lord, that we have already. All the Vedic activities are based on sacrificial ceremonies. That is true. But all these sacrifices are meant only for realizing the supreme absolute truth. And this yagna is important, and this Kali Yuga, there is only Sankirtan yagna, which is done for the Supreme Lord. The yoga, they perform asana, dhyana, pranayam, pratyahara, dharana. But what is all this if it is not coming to the stage of samadhi? If one is not realizing the supreme absolute truth. So the purpose of the yoga is also to know Krishna, Vasudeva Param and Vasudeva Param Jnanam, and Vasudeva Para Yoga, to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It can be in different aspect, because yogis, they understand only the Paramatma realization. So the aspect can be of any, but it should be only for the Supreme Absolute Truth. Then Vasudev Param Jnana, knowledge. We know that there are Bhagavad Gita, there are 18 items in culturing that knowledge. And by such knowledge, one becomes prideless. We have discussed this verse. It is 13.8 and 9. So there also he says, I can just quickly show you. Bhagavad Gita 13.8. So all these qualities, that is amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, shantir, arjavam, acharyopasanam, shaucham, sthairyam, atma, vinigra, all these indriyartheshu, vairagyam, anankara evacha, janma mrityu jara vyadhi, dukkha doshanudarshanam. All these are secondary qualities. You can say that how can pridelessness, humility can be secondary, but yes, it is secondary. The important word is Maichanena Yogena Bhaktira Vicharini. So yes, Krishna says that one who knows all these qualities, all these are declared to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there is ignorance. But among all this also, the importance is to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is constant and unalloyed devotion to me. This is important. If this is not there, then all the other qualities are gauna, guna. That means they are secondary qualities. We have to have that mukhyana, and that is the knowing. So he's saying all this is okay, but all the knowledge culminates in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. Therefore, Vasudeva Param Jnanam. And this also applies to austerities. Tapasya also we can do. What is tapasya? It is the voluntarily acceptance of bodily pains. That is austerity. When we do certain fasting, when we follow certain rules and regulations, it's a voluntary acceptance. But we are not like Hiranyakashipu who underwent so many bodily tortures, or like Ravan, but for what? For sense gratification, to become immortal, or some to achieve some political end. You know, the politicians, they also go to Anshan, पे बैठ जाते हैं. They want to just fulfill their demands. So that is all kind of bogus austerity. The real austerity is when we do it for the sake of Krishna, like keeping Ekadashi. He is the original internal enjoyer amongst all these enjoyers. Vasudev is the original Sri Krishna, as explained before, and he comes as his multifarious energies and his internal energies. They are known as para and apara prakritis. But we have to understand that the living entities are his expansion, and the living entities who are expanded. Therefore, all the culture of knowledge, austerity, sacrifice, activities should be aimed at changing the quality of the influence that is acting upon us. So, the point is that we are worshipping the Supreme Lord, but for what? For the ultimate benefit. And ultimate benefit is to get rid of this Jara, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. What is that?
Janma, Mrityu, Jara.
Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. These are the 4 diseases from which we have to get ourselves liberated. That should be the aim of life without any deviation. And that can be done only by the Supreme Lord. There are all different assisting hands of Lord Vasudev. Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, they are included in the list of demigods. But Lord Vishnu or Vasudev is transcendently situated. Even though he accepts the quality of the mode of goodness, still he is transcendental to all the 3 modes. And the example is given of the prison house and the prisoner. Both the managers and the prisoners are bound by the laws of the king. But even though the king sometimes comes in the prison, he is not bound by the laws of prison house. So the king is therefore transcendental to the laws of the prison house, as the Lord is always transcendental to the laws of the material world. So therefore, Vasudeva Paragati. Our gati, our goal of life is only the Supreme Lord Vasudev. Nothing else should be the goal of our life. So with this, I will end this thing, and we will continue from verse number 30, because from 30th onwards, actually, now our Suta Goswami will be answering the 4th question. So the 3rd question he's skipping, that why the Supreme Lord came in the womb of Mother Devaki as the son of Vasudev. That answer he is not telling in this chapter. He is directly going to the 4th one, where he describing the adventures of the Purusha avatars. When the Supreme Lord comes as Karanadakshayi Vishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and Shirodakshai Vishnu. So from 30th onwards, now Suta Goswami will be answering. So in 30th, he'll be telling about Karnodakshai Vishnu. In 31st, he'll be telling about Garbhodakshai Vishnu. And in 32nd, he will be talking about Shirodakshai Vishnu. So this way, he'll be answering the 4th question of all the sages of Naimisharanya. But we will not go into that detail. But Thursday, definitely we'll cover. So thank you all so much. We'll stop here. And there is some chat message. Okay, Praladananda Prabhu is quoting a lot of verses. Thank you, Prabhuji. Okay, anybody has? Yes, Saudamini Mataji, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for the beautiful class. Mataji, in text 24, that fire, smoke, wood comparison were given. So is it correct, Mataji? Sattvagun is compared to fire, and Rajogun to smoke, and Tamagun to wood. Is it correct?
Yeah, it's the correct understanding.
Okay, and another thing, Mataji, you were discussing now that if we happen to visit any demigod temple, so What exactly should be our prayer,
Our
demigods?
prayer is that's just like you all are the eternal servants of the Supreme Lord. Please help me so that I can also surrender myself fully unto the Supreme Lord. That should be our only prayer. Give me Krishna Bhakti. Assist me so that I can surrender to the Supreme Lord.
Like you are serving Krishna.
Like you all are serving Krishna, help me also to serve Krishna. That should be whosoever temple we go. Please don't do any disrespect to any of the demigods. They are really empowered personalities. If you want to meet a president and if you somehow make any cabinet minister angry, do you think he will let you go to meet the president? No, he won't. He won't. He will bring all the impediments in your life.
Yeah.
So therefore, have respect for all of them. People, after reading Bhagavatam, they have so much negativity towards Indra, especially after reading Bhagavatam. But we should understand that Krishna also never disowned him. He is still the same Indra, right? So if Krishna has not disowned him, then what capacity we have to disrespect him? Okay. So we have to understand that through his own devotees only, Krishna teaches lots of lessons to all of us. And we have to see in that light.
Disapproved but not disowned. Gauranga Darshan Prabhuji
Gauranga
is there.
Darshan. He dethroned but never disowned him. And he dethroned only for some time. Yes, Praladananda Prabhu. Dhanyavad.
Mataji, in addition to that, what you have said about demigod worship, I'm
Hmm.
associated with Sanatan Temple here in Las Vegas for last 20 years.
Hmm.
And they have these deities of Ganeshji, Durgaji, and Shankar Parivar like that. So what I do is to go and offer Brahma Samhita slokas to them.
Awesome.
Durga ji, Srushti Sthiti Pralay Sadhan Shakti Rekha Chai.
Anurupam,
But
yes.
Ganpati ji, Yat Pad Pallavigam Vinidayakam,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Sankaram Kshiram
That
Jatha
is best.
like that. So that way, we are bowing them to them, giving them respect, and also putting Lord Krishna in the center there. Govinda Madi Purusham, like that. So that's the practical way I do it.
Excellent, Prabhu. Excellent. Even when I happen to go to any Balaji temple and there we have Ganesha Murti and Ganesh Ji is there, and definitely Yadpada Pallavam, we can always recite that verse because that will also please them. That will make them remember of their own Supreme Lord. Very nice, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Also, because we are in sadhak stage, we also have material desires. But then Bhagavatam says 2.3.10 that akam sarva kamova moksha kamudardhi tivrana bhakti yoga. So if we make our bhakti intensified, tivrana, then Bhavan Krishna is all powerful and he can satisfy our material desire also. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that anya kam yadi kare Krishner bhajan na magite Krishna tar desvacha. So even if you have material desire, Lord Krishna, Lord Chaitanya is so merciful that he will give his Swacharan and make us forget all these material desires, So that way it's so compliant that, we worship Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They will take care of us completely, despite our material desires.
Yes.
That's
Very
our,
true.
Thank you,
Very
Mata.
true. He's that supreme father who is going to know who knows what is good and what is bad for us, and accordingly he will fulfill those desires. Yeah, Prabhu, thank you so much. The
Thank
common
you.
example is given like a small boy, if he's under the age of 16 and if he wants to smoke, he goes to some panwala and he'll get a cigarette. And that panwala is only worried about his money. He gets the money and he's least bothered whether this cigarette is good for that 14-year-old boy or not. And he will very easily give. Whether it brings good to him or it brings bad health to him, he's not bothered at all. So these demigods are like that. It is good for you or it is bad for you. We don't know. You came to us, we'll give you. But if the same boy goes to his father and asks for a cigarette, the father is going to give a one tight slap on his face because it is for his betterment. And our Krishna is the same. If we approach him and Krishna doesn't fulfill our material desires, we should have that Shraddha, that faith that it is not good for me, and that's why Krishna is not fulfilling. And as Prabhu was quoting this, that yes, Krishna himself gives his own charan, he gives his own bhakti. What else is needed? Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, before I move to next question, I again want to make this thing clear that if you all want to leave, you are more than welcome to leave, because officially the session is over. Now it's just the question and answer time. So you are not bound to stay on the call. Yes, Divyangi Lalita Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much for the beautiful explanation. Mataji, we read that Lord Vishnu can only give liberation, but Lord Shiva is also called Muktinath, and Lord Shiva is also there as Sadashiv in the spiritual world. So how can we understand, Mataji? Can Lord Shiva also give liberation?
No, Mataji, Lord Shiva cannot give us liberation. His name is Muktinath. Yeah, but if you are talking about Sadashiv, then Sadashiv is non-different from Krishna. Okay, but when that Sadashiv comes as the glance of Karnadakshay Vishnu and interacts with the material world, and when he becomes one of the Guna Avatara, then he fulfills only the material desires. So he's Ashutosh. Very quickly we can please him, and all the material desires can be fulfilled. Then liberation, that's why Krishna's name is only Mukunda. He is the one who can give liberation from this cycle of birth and death. Yes, Tulsi Gopi Mataji.
Mataji, in what we have heard in the past, that Lord Ganesha keeps the lotus feet of Lord Narsimhadev on his head and prays, and that's how he gets his power to remove obstacles. So is that coming from the Yadpada Pallava, the Govindam? Because I was searching that and it's not mentioned exactly Narsimhadev. So why we say Narsimhadev if it's
Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur in his commentary, he writes
that the Govindam there is Narsimhadev.
that he takes the lotus feet of Lord Narsimhadev, because both are Vignaharta. Both are Vignaharta. Lord Ganesha, he removes the Vigna of our material existence, and Lord Narsimhadev, he removes the impediments that comes on our path of bhakti. So even that Lord Ganesha, he gets the power. He is empowered only by the lotus feet of Narsimhadev, where he has this power to remove the impediments in our material life.
So that's quoted as a commentary to this verse in Brahma Samhita.
By Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. If I'm not wrong. Preeti Vilas Nimataji, do you know that?
Can you just repeat? Sorry.
No, it's like Yadpada Pallavam verse from Brahma Samhita. Actually, the verse doesn't mention the name of Lord Narsimhadev. So Mataji is asking.
Oh, yeah, that's in the commentary.
That's in the commentary. That's what I said.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Because one time my mother-in-law she arranged some puja and invited some Panditji. And when he found out that we follow Hare Krishnas, he became so angry and out of, I don't know, envy or what, he started challenging ye ISKCON wale, हमारे हिंदुइज्म में भी से गणपति removes and ये लोग न जाने कहाँ से नरसिम्हा देव का. That time I didn't have the exact reference, but now if I come across him again in my life, I can say, Mahodaya, I'm sorry, but this is where I found the answer.
Yeah, you can always say, but at the same time, if they are really faithless, then again it's an aparad to instruct the faithless person. Like in Bhakti Shastri also, I gave this example so many times, that those who are worshipping the demigods and they are the ardent followers, then in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna himself says that I am the one who give them the faith so that they can worship them. So who are we? It's their parachute. Okay. Better that they are having some parachute. They are not atheist. So if they are worshipping any demigods, it's their parachutes. Don't take away their parachutes. Don't tell them that don't worship this, don't worship demigods, don't worship Durga. No. We have to just tell them that include Krishna in whatever way you are worshipping and whosoever you are worshipping. Whosoever you are worshipping, just include Krishna, and then rest Krishna will guide. Mahamantra has so much power that Mahamantra himself will guide. Okay, I was in the same boat. I was a Pakka demigod worshipper. So all 33 million demigods ki pictures was there in my temple. And I used to worship everyone. But so slowly, gradually, when you come under the guidance of a spiritual master, he guides you, brings you on the level of sattva, and then everything falls in place. But as what Panditji said, and I am also telling you that we have in the name of ISKCON, certain devotees have made this impression that we are against demigod, where Prabhupada has never said. See, in the purport also Prabhupada said that we exclusively don't go out of the way to worship them, but at the same time we don't disrespect them. So this is very important statement. And if that Prabhu, whosoever that priest is, if he's saying it because he was portrayed in that manner, so whose fault it is? It is the fault of we devotees who were not able to understand the statements of Prabhupada. We are the one who literally, I've seen so many people that if you give them even Lord Shiva's prasadam, which is offered to Lord Shiva, they will ignore like anything. They forget Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. They forget this. And on your face, they will be so rude on you. Like, it's okay. At that time, show some respect to that prasad. Even if you don't want to honor, that's your personal choice. But at that time, don't show some anger or don't throw on to others where they feel that, oh, to which category do we belong? Are we aliens? We portray ourselves. So fault lies in us. Understand the mood of Prabhupada. Ananyata. Our ananyata is always towards Radha and Krishna. No matter what, I'm not going to leave their lotus feet. Our ananyata is towards Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. But that doesn't mean that I disrespect others. I'm not going out of the way. But at the same time, if I happen to go to their temple, I have to show all my respect, all my respects. We have to be very careful. People are very sensitive, Mataji. And if they are the demigod worship, and if we break their sensitivity by behaving in such a manner, then tomorrow they will not accept us and they will not even follow what we say. If we want to include Krishna in their life, they will say, forget it, you are so rude. But if we be friendly with them, then slowly and gradually, as Krishna will come in their life, they will get the right knowledge. So we have to be very careful. Okay.
Yes, Mataji, I went and stood
Yeah, yeah.
there but I don't know why, like, he started getting angry. It was a Ekadashi, and he's like, why you are following Ekadashi? I spoke nothing. I was standing quiet. So I was afraid that if I kept quiet because I thought he's doing Vaishnava Aparadh by condemning devotees and their Ekadashi Vrat. And so I just kept quiet and I felt, am I doing Aparadh by being quiet also? Then I kind of walked out in disappointment, but without speaking rude or anything.
Very good. Without speaking anything, just walk out of that place. That's the best we can do. Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you so much. Then we can stop here. Thank you so much for staying back even that late, and we'll continue on Thursday. Thank you so much.
पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय
ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम
की जय ग्रेस कीर्तिदास सुंदरी माता जी की जय
जय। Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Mother,
Thank
can I ask
you.
one quick
Thank
thing?
you.
Yeah,
I
go
mean,
ahead.
not related to the class.
Yeah, go.
So Sunday is Ram Navami. Do we have our nectar devotion class? We have so many services. Just checking if it's there or not, we'll plan accordingly.
But you have services in the evening, no? Temple must be celebrating in the evening, classes in the morning.
No, we are part of other services are there. But it's okay, Mataji. I'm just checking if it is there or not. Class is there or not. I'll plan accordingly.
Okay, then we will check on it. And I'll
Okay.
let you know in that group.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you. Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Thank
Okay,
you.
dear devotees, we are leaving it now. Hare Krishna.